So Anthony was having a lot of challenges with speech and communication. He had a few words, but not many, and he really wouldn't use sentences. If he wanted something, he would grab your hand and take you to whatever it is that he wanted. He was very fearful of loud noises and crowds. So it
Hmm.
was hard to take him into crowds, or if there was a loud noise, he would really become bothered by that. Um, and with speech, it's a lot of times I felt like he didn't understand what we were saying. So say, for instance, we would say, "Okay, go get your shoes." He kind of would just stand there and look at you. So he really wasn't understanding what we were saying. So yeah, quite a few challenges, mainly with speech, communication, and anxiety too. It was very difficult to leave him anywhere. He really wanted to be with me all the time. So dropping off to daycare was always a huge challenge.
Hmm.
When I took him to the pediatrician, she did the milestones test for his checkup, and we saw that, he was behind. He was missing some milestones. She referred us to a neurologist, and the neurologist did diagnose him with mild autism, and she suggested ABA therapy. So um, that was kind of like the beginning of it. And we also tried speech therapy
Hmm.
and a little bit of occupational therapy. And we saw some gains, but not too many. I feel like where we saw some really good breakthroughs in the beginning was with functional medicine.
Hmm.
So we worked with a naturopath,
Hmm.
and working with the naturopath was amazing. It's like Anthony was coming out of a fog and
Hmm.
really starting to communicate better. So that was wonderful to see. So seeing the progress that he was making with the naturopath, I was so excited. But after a while, it seemed like we hit a brick wall. Like there wasn't much more progress. We were kind of stagnant. And so I was like, okay, what else can we do? Because the anxiety had gone down a lot, was communicating better. He seemed calmer, but there still was a lot of gaps in the speech. And I would say still the anxiety was better, but he still was anxious in certain situations. And he really didn't like when strangers would approach him. It's like he was very fearful of strangers, more so than normal. So I was like, I feel like we need to do more. And
Hmm.
that's when I found you guys. Yes, so I was contemplating starting ABA therapy. So I Googled how effective is ABA therapy, and I came across an article that you wrote, and it was a magnificent article. You talked about how ABA can be beneficial, but how the listening program can really make changes that ABA might not be able to do. And I said, I want to try this. This sounds really hopeful. So I would say after the very first session, Anthony, I believe he said, "Can I have juice?" And I was just like, "What?" After one session, like he said a sentence, I couldn't believe it. Um, so we were like, okay, yeah, we're gonna continue with this. And after a while, I would say maybe after a week, I noticed that we don't go to the drive-through often because we don't like fast food, but every once in a while we do go. And he would always get fearful of the loud voice coming through the speaker.
Hmm.
And we went through the drive-through, and I noticed it didn't bother him at all. The lady was speaking through the speaker and he was calm. He wasn't
Hmm.
crying. And I was like, oh my gosh, little things like that I started to notice. Um, then after I would say, I don't know if it was 3 weeks, but there was no more tantrums dropping him off at school.
Hmm.
So I was like, this is definitely working. I'm seeing some magnificent progress here. And then as we just kept going, we started seeing more and more. He was talking more. He was saying sentences. He was calmer. There was a birthday party, which I used to be afraid to take him to birthday parties because it was a big crowd. And, I didn't want his older brother to miss out, so I would still take him and just hope for the best. But A lot of those experiences were not good experiences, but
Yeah.
the first birthday party he went to after starting the program, he was fine. He played, he was happy, he didn't cry, he wasn't afraid of that crowd of kids. And I was just like, I feel like a miracle is happening right before my eyes. Yes, so I feel like, Anthony loves his family, but it's a big family. So for holiday dinners, it would be too much for him. He would kind of just sit in the corner and, kind of be to himself, or he would find me and just, stick right by my side. He didn't want to talk or anything like that. Um, but then after starting the program at Christmas dinner, he was happy. He was socializing, was playing with his cousins, and people were commenting. I had family say, wow, this is not the Anthony that we know. We see some big changes. And it was just really nice to hear that. Even his teacher at the school he was going to was saying, there's something amazing happening with Anthony. Before he wouldn't talk in class, now he's the most talkative. He's singing along with the songs, he's dancing, he's participating, and she was just blown away. Yes, so we did end up putting him at an ABA school, which I would say for about 6 months, and it was a good experience. Um, but towards the end of the 6 months, which I was shocked that it happened that quickly, the therapist said she felt like he was ready to go to regular school. She said that he was more social and more talkative than a lot of the other kids at the center, and she felt it would be more beneficial for him to go to regular school. And I was just blown away. I was like, wow, that was only 6 months. I couldn't imagine that turnaround that quickly. I would say last year, about a year ago, they did an assessment for him at the public school. I decided not to put him in the class, but I still did the assessment. And it was disheartening. They said he was really needing a lot of work. He was really not performing at the level of his peers, a lot of communication gaps, and so on and so forth. And then a year has passed. Now he is in a regular school. They did the test again, and the teacher was like, he's amazing. He's at age expected range in many categories, with a few exceptions. Still needs a
Mhm.
little work, but she said she really hasn't seen this kind of improvement from one year to the next in any of the students that she's worked with.
Mhm.
And I was just like, wow, to hear that he's at age expected range in multiple categories, I wanted to cry. I did cry.
What would you say to a family that would have been like yours about a year ago? What would you tell them about the Brain Harmony program?
I would say it works to
Mhm.
try it. What do you have to lose? It's amazing because you get to do it at home. You don't
Mhm.
even have to drive anywhere to a center. You can do it at home, and we have your support along the way and your staff's support along the way. It's been an amazing journey. Um, I feel like if not every day I saw something new, definitely at least every week. Every
Mhm.
week he was doing something new, communicating more, being less anxious, being more calm, being more happy, being more outgoing.
Yeah,
And it was an answer to prayer.
yeah,
Um, I just feel like God really worked and brought me to you because I was praying for an answer.
yes.
And this works. This works. So just please try it. Oh, just that you're amazing.
Oh,
You're amazing at what you do. Thank God you've decided to do it because you've changed my family's life, you've changed my son's life, and I hope you continue.
oh, thank you, Miss Christina. I will. This is why we're here, and we're so passionate about connecting with families, and we're so appreciative that you've done this video with us today, so more families can know what's possible. So I love it. Thank you so much.